Welcome to Journey Now, a podcast about following Jesus that takes on serious issues without ever taking itself too seriously. Each week, the pastors, staff, and friends of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee gather to catch up, share life together, laugh a little, okay, a lot, maybe too much, but along the way, they also explore what it really means to bring heaven to earth, share Jesus' hospitality, and live cross-shaped lives. Part babble, part Bible, and occasionally even thoughtful and entertaining, this is Journey Now.
Wow.
Oh, I know. Wow.
Someone else is punchy today, too.
Nope, not punchy. Just wow. All right, are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. Welcome to another Journey Now podcast. We're down a couple of our cast of characters.
Big personalities.
Lots
of space in the room.
Lots of space.
Although we do have an elder that's sitting in the corner observing quietly.
Yes, quietly, because he's trying to figure out why we do this.
Yes, it's a good thing we're not one of those churches that has elders sitting around in
but
corners
he is
quietly,
sitting there with his arms crossed
I'm a little
in
intimidated.
judgment of us, which is fine, which it'll be much cleaner today.
He's
Tim's
making me
not here.
nervous, not because he's an elder, but because of his shorts.
His shorts? What's wrong with his shorts?
What's wrong with his shorts?
Do you rent those?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
He nodded yes. He rents his shorts.
First of all, we have a guest today.
Oh, we do.
This is a priority.
Yes.
Wow.
Because it's a very special guest and he's having a very special day.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I know who it is
Robert,
now.
Bob, Robert, what's your middle name? It's something weird.
Robert P.
Rob
Gonzalez. Robert P. Gonzalez.
Joe? Isn't it Joe?
It's Joe.
Bobby Joe? Bobby Joe?
Hey, you put that in the interwebs?
Oh, there it is.
My life is over.
Bobby Joe.
It's your birthday today.
Yes.
It feels
You're
good to
pushing
be
40.
32, actually.
32
Wow.
for the last few years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
you.
We're very glad you were born.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad I was born, too.
You're very
that's good.
easy to celebrate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm 38, so
Yep.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, we were going to play pickleball today, but no.
I
You decided to do something with your family on your birthday.
actually changed the tire this morning. So.
It's
I
even
had a
better.
baby when I was 38.
Wow, that's a personal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, what have you done?
There it is. Yep.
Well,
Susie's
this year
gonna
just
drive
started.
this baby.
This year just started. So
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
To
mean,
catch
you
my
should
breath.
really think about where you're going in life right now.
Yep.
You were also on multiple TV shows in your 30s.
No, I wasn't on TV shows. I
You
worked on
worked
TV,
on TV
shows,
shows.
and that was my 20s, not my 30s.
Well, same, I feel like.
20s, I worked in TV. 30s, I worked in ministry, which I think TV prepared me for.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What's
No
your
doubt.
favorite TV show that you worked on?
Um,
And you can't say Friends.
Young and the Restless.
gosh. Okay, you know what? The Jamie Foxx show.
You worked on the Jamie.
Yeah, because you know why? Because he is like one of the nicest human beings in the world.
That's
Really?
At least he was then, over 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe, I don't know if fame's gotten to him, but he was very, very kind.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you see him in Law Abiding Citizen?
Yeah, I was thinking that
No.
Okay.
Gerard Butler. That's one of my favorite movies.
Oof.
It's so good.
Anyway.
Law-abiding
Not
citizen.
super appropriate.
Not
And not a great
not a
segue
movie that
for our
she probably
conversation.
would want to. Yeah, not loving each other does definitely not fit into Law
But it's a
Abiding
great
Citizen.
movie.
Yes, Revenge definitely
Yeah,
fits
yeah.
into Law Abiding Citizen.
Jamie Foxx is good in that. And what's the one where it's Tom Cruise and he's a taxi driver. Jamie Foxx is a taxi driver.
Independence Day. Oh no, that's about aliens.
Wow. Don't offend me on my birthday. Independence Day is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, didn't you say yesterday that you wish that we could have a president like the one on Independence Day?
Wow.
Is that the movie you said?
That was the one I referenced.
Happy birthday.
We're ready for a TV president.
Yeah. Yes.
I would prefer West Wing, but you know,
I've not seen that show. I'm not old enough.
oof.
Remember the show 24?
Yeah.
The guy who was president on that show was great. I forget his name, but he's in the Allstate commercials now.
Yes. Yes.
The Mayhem guy or the
No, not the Mayhem guy.
Allstate?
Yeah.
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 That was good.
That's it.
Well,
Yes.
I'm 38 now.
So what are you doing to celebrate your
Not
birthday?
old enough.
That's
Not
a good
old
question.
enough.
I am
There's a party going on.
I'm celebrating with a few friends. We do this thing. We've talked about it a little bit, but it's called the turntable.
Mm-hmm. A little play off of the table.
Yes,
we do at
little
church.
play off the
little
table.
It's a table under
Very
the table.
clever play.
Shout out to some friends who started that. But we're listening to an album, and we're just gonna sit around and listen to music and hang and have some drinks and enjoy each other's company. So
That sounds like fun.
yeah, I'm pretty
That's
excited
great.
about it.
Sounds
So,
like fun.
yeah.
You look happy. You're glowing.
Wow.
I would be remiss if I didn't
awake.
transition this conversation shortly to ask, what are you drinking, Suzie?
Well,
Speaking of drinks,
I'm really glad that
I
Mike's
mean,
not here because
yeah,
he probably would
That's
die.
why I feel like I
Yeah.
think
smell it from here.
So-
you can smell it from there.
This is called pineapple, cucumber, celery, kale, and zinc.
Ouch.
Yeah. So Steve Lind bought this at Publix.
At
and
Publix.
he took 2 sips of it this morning and
And
said,
you would like
it's a
it,
little
Suze?"
funky.
He threw up in his
And
mouth.
and then he took a 3rd sip and he's like, I can't do it.
I think you tried.
So I tried it and it is a little funky.
I don't know. When you say funky, what does that mean?
Well,
You should just try it.
No.
celery is a very strong taste.
Celery?
Yeah.
I thought it tastes more like water.
I don't know. Maybe it's the
Maybe it's the zinc.
combination. Yeah, it could be
Celery
the
is
zinc. I
definitely
don't
the
know.
biggest word on that
It's
bottle.
very thick and it's it's not, I would not say it's refreshing.
funky.
A lot of juices are refreshing.
Wait, what's the ingredients
But
again?
it's
Say that
good.
again.
It's good. It's pineapple, cucumber, celery, kale, and zinc. And it's
supposed to be good for you.
supposed to be good for you. I can't read the back of it right now.
Yeah, I
'cause
probably could.
I don't have my reading.
What do you want to know?
Nothing. I mean,
Okay.
I don't care.
70 calories, saturated fat. Total sugars are 12.
Wow, that's a problem
Yeah.
for me.
Ingredients.
But it comes from
Pineapple puree.
good stuff.
Is it puree?
That's what it says.
It's a little pureed. It's a little pureed.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
There it is.
Checking.
Huh.
That
God bless
over-
you.
Thank
There's
you.
2 servings in there.
Yeah, it looks the color if you're listening, it's a
yeah.
unsavory
Yeah.
green color.
Think of green fruits
Chunky.
blended up, green vegetables.
Yeah.
Chunky green.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Bring
fine.
back the mommy boost.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's definitely like the top of the line.
Yeah.
Mommy Boost is always
They got to come up with a better name though.
the
Diet
the
Coke.
choice.
I don't think I've ever told that story. I think you guys have told that story.
Have you ever
The Mommy Boost
The
story?
mommy
You
boost
went
story,
into the
but I feel like I need to share this on my birthday.
yeah, it's your birthday. You went into Whole
I was
Foods.
feeling under the weather,
You were.
and Susie said, "Go to Whole Foods and get a mommy boost." That's all she said.
Yeah.
There was no other information needed, and I feel like I needed to ask
You were
more
set up.
questions.
Yeah, you were set up.
So in my Whole Foods in California, we had a juice bar.
Which they used to have one here too, but they don't have it anymore.
So I walk up to the juice bar
You had your own Whole Foods in California?
in Santa Barbara. Yes,
Wow.
it took over the Circuit City.
Oh.
Circuit City's gone.
That's
God.
an
Foods.
upgrade.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
So I walk into the juice bar because I can't find this juice. It's not
Yes.
on the menu.
Yes.
And I look at the woman and I say, "Hey, can I get a mommy boost?"
And she says,
Nothing. She just looked at me like I was crazy. And I realized pretty quickly this is not where you find it.
no.
So I did find it though.
Yeah. And did
Did
you
you
feel
buy some?
better?
I don't remember. I walked away in shame.
Did you feel better after you drank it?
I still felt shame.
Wow.
Yeah, I probably felt better.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't understand the whole supplement thing, but that's okay. 61 and never really figured that out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Caffeine.
Okay, so you taught this last weekend.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It was very good.
Yeah. We're in the middle of that series called Social Distortion.
That series.
That series.
Which I just found out was a band, by the way.
A band. Yeah. It's a
I didn't
punk
know.
band.
Did you know that Bad Religion is a band?
I do know.
Yep. That's
So
what.
you
That's
haven't been in on the whole thing?
On the bands?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know.
Interesting.
like
Listen.
just now
90s punk bands
Yeah.
is the
theme.
theme.
Of
and we're
this-
just going to
of
keep
this
going
series.
with it until
Yes.
we can't anymore.
Yeah. What's the next one? Misfits.
The Misfits.
Yeah. We have a couple of applauses
Yeah.
over here from the Peanut Gallery. That's awesome. misfits. I couldn't name a song from any of these bands.
Well, you should get on Spotify and check it out.
Yeah, that would require me to download.
We should do
an
like
app.
90s hip hop artists or
Pandora?
something.
Do you have Pandora?
I have Pandora.
You might find it on there.
I doubt it.
You have Pandora?
Yeah.
do. I think
do you pay for
Spotify actually owns Pandora.
Well, do you pay for Pandora?
No.
Okay, that's good.
We just
No.
switched over to Tidal.
What's that?
They're fancy. It's not.
It's another music platform, but they pay their artists more money.
Then
That's a good reason.
Spotify or
Pandora?
Apple Music.
or
For sure, Pandora.
oh yeah.
Hey, can we
Okay.
switch over to like 90s hip hop artists or something?
Sure. I don't care what we
Like-
call these things. I don't think anybody on the planet
What about
cares
this?
except for Mike.
What are this, like the Notorious G.O.D.?
Oh my
That was
gosh.
so
Okay,
bad.
Kevin.
That was so bad.
Good one. We're gonna
right.
let that slide because
Wow.
it's your birthday.
And you're
you.
not even like the old person on them.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Now you're just being mean. I like
was
it.
feeling good.
Wow, you're really feeling your
Am I
age.
still glowing?
Rob.
Yeah. It's the hat.
Lights,
It's the hat.
Oh, that's
It's
funny.
the hat.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you taught.
Yeah, what are we
okay,
talking about?
Let's bring it back.
Oh
You
yeah,
taught.
we're in the middle of a social distortion, and it's a response. I think a proper response to this idea of bad religion, and
Which
so
was the previous one.
a series. Yeah, so you listen to these podcasts, you kind of get a
Mm-hmm.
feel for where we're going. But the bad religion set us up in such a way that we begin to recognize how the church has done damage to people, how
Mm-hmm.
it's practiced bad religion, and so it begged the question: okay, so what's good religion look like, or what is it supposed to look like? And Mike laid the groundwork the first 3 weeks around this idea of that we're actually family, and I think that was really difficult for people. What's wrong?
The inside joke.
Oh.
But we are a big family.
Rob and I, just real quick, Rob and I spent probably an unhealthy amount of time watching documentaries of, bad religion.
Bad religion.
Let's just call it that.
Bad religion.
You do like to show me those clips.
And the theme in many of them was
Oh.
that when you're here, your family type
Welcome
things.
home.
And it was used as a manipulation tool to get
For sure.
people to do what the
Yeah.
leaders wanted them to do, which
Right.
is something that Mike addressed in the
Yeah.
series. And so I have been saying to Rob for a long time, we are not family. We are a community. This is your workplace.
Yeah.
Your family is
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah.
Your allegiance is to them,
Yeah.
not to us.
Yeah.
And
Oops.
so then Mike's doing that message, and I get a text in the middle of church
I said, we are
from Rob
family.
saying, so we are a family.
Well,
Yep. And you read that text while he was speaking?
No?
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah.
all the time.
All the
we
time.
text about you when you speak.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so now
Anyway.
he's never going to let me live it down.
But one of the caveats that comes with that is that he never says that we have a new father. He always says that we have one father, and our relationship is primarily a sibling relationship, not a hierarchical or authoritarian relationship. And that's what he's trying to dispel, because once somebody in the church takes the role of the father, it turns it into more of a cultic feel. It turns it into an opportunity for abuse. It turns it into
power over.
power over rather than collaborative or power with. So and that's been a struggle. A lot of people are like, wait a minute, how does this really work? What is that? Because we've been trying to speak to this idea of how to be a community and not just be individuals that gather on a Sunday and do individual things and do our individual worship or our individual whatever, but it actually is a community of people. And we were talking about it yesterday, you and I, about isolation. All three of us were actually talking about isolation and how isolation kills people in
The soul.
It's crushing. It's a penalty
Yeah.
for people who misbehave in prison. Well, we'll put you in isolation. Isolation. It's taking away something of great value to put somebody in isolation.
Well, we do it to our kids too when we put them in timeouts for different reasons. I mean, sometimes it's good, but
Yeah, my daughter loved timeout. We had to figure out something else for her. She had more fun in timeout than she did anywhere else. So that's a different story.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Knowing your daughter.
Yes. And she thought that, well, all right, we get to go to timeout. I'm like, Okay, we got to figure something else out here because this is not a deterrent. But with our son, though, he would literally say, "Spank me, just spank me," because I would rather experience that than put me in isolation. So
anyway, so it's
where am I going?
isolation
What am I
is
doing?
a
Yeah,
penalty in some cases, and it kills the soul.
yeah, and so the idea of community, we were created for it. We were meant for it. And it also helps with formation. It helps with a lot of things. It's going to form you. All community forms you one way or another, good, bad, or indifferent. So choose your friends wisely. But so we now stepped into this idea of, okay, what does it actually look like? What is the church supposed to look like? What picture are we painting? What does the New Testament say is true about this community? And it's the constant correction of the community drifting into places it's not supposed to go. So Paul and John and Peter are all writing these letters from the perspective of, come on, we're supposed to love each other.
Yeah.
And you're doing a really crappy job. Mm-hmm. So let me point out for you what this looks like to love one another. That's the path we went down on Sunday. But rather than just go down that path, it's rooted in the relationship with the Father. It's rooted in this idea that he loves us, and he loves us deeply, and he loves us unconditionally, which for many people is really, really hard to receive. So we did a little exercise before we launched into the message, just to sit in some real specific verses about just a reminder that you are deeply loved by God. I think that's probably what most of the people remember that I talked to after the message. It was like, that was really helpful. Yeah. Well, what did you talk about?
Because it's true that people will often remember how you made them feel more than what you said.
Right.
When you teach.
Right.
And sometimes that's a very, profound experience, especially if it happens in a church service.
Right. Yeah. And I think the ongoing busyness of life, the ongoing draining of our souls by either our jobs or relationships or driving a car or whatever it might be, we often don't refill that in ways that replenishes the soul. We often we drift into places where we forget that God loves us. We forget that we are in relationship with him, and therefore we start to have our relationships totally out of the flesh, which is why we have a lot of conflict and a lot of difficulty and a lot of And so I drifted. I took people from there into a conversation of what it means to love one another, and then and this is where Mike pulled a phrase from the Methodists: "Do no harm and do good when you can." So don't do harm when you can, and do good when you can. And it is an expression of love. It's how actually to love your neighbor. And I think those phrases actually help people hang some of these things out there for, okay, I should probably do this differently. Because we even how we drive, we can drive kinder. We can drive. Do you love how it's angry.
Always about driving with him? It's like there's always
yeah. That's because Peter's here. I did that for Peter. Peter's over there going.
No, you do it all the time.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, you don't have to stop. I'm just saying, maybe we should get a little curious about what's underneath all that.
What's underneath driving kinder?
Yeah.
I think
driving is
and I
sacred.
said on Sunday, I think it's a disrespect thing. I think if people cut me off in traffic, there's a little bit of, you just disrespected me. And there's days where it really bugs me, and there's days when it doesn't. But also, if people drive slow, like slower than the speed limit in the left lane on the highway, I think that's just totally disrespect for everybody else on the highway.
But driving and other people's driving seems to bring out a lot of your primary emotions.
Yeah, I've learned over the last couple of years that what triggers me the most is disrespect.
Yeah.
And you feel it the most on the road.
No, I feel it most in elder meetings, but that's a different story.
Wow.
That is not true. I just want to clarify for the listener.
Grant, you can edit that out.
Okay, so what did you think about?
But that is what for me makes it hard to love other people.
Yeah.
Is
when you feel disrespected.
Yeah, if somebody disrespects me, I go, oh man, it makes me want to do harm. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's the boundaries piece. It's the I've spent so long like doing for others at the detriment of myself.
Right.
That at times now I don't always know the balance.
Right. You've got to create a new.
And in this culture where like, I mean, there's a beautiful culture now where like boundaries are really important and necessary at times. But it's like, where's the line?
Well, and that came up actually in the questions afterwards is how does boundaries fit into this loving one another? Well, I think boundaries actually communicates how other people can love better.
Yeah.
I think it's expressing, look, you violated something within the social order, within the means by which this isn't loving. What you're doing is not loving. So here's a boundary. Stop.
But also, when we set boundaries with other people, we're saying, I want to love you well. And so I have to have this boundary in place so that I can love you well.
I think that's where it's weird culturally because people don't perceive boundaries as loving always.
From which side?
I think on the receiving side.
Oh, okay.
Right. I don't know if I've ever been on the receiving side in a way that feels like
it hurt,
or it feels like, oh man, they really care about me, you know, or they really love me.
Okay.
I think oftentimes we interpret things like conflict or even like harsh truths as, oh man, he's just being a jerk, you know, but it's actually really kind and clear to be truthful, you know, and honest.
Right.
But I'm talking about like if you have a boundary with your family that you're not going to talk about religion or politics
or
when
Bruno.
You're with them.
Or Bruno.
You
Don't
set
forget
that,
Bruno.
You set that boundary. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about Bruno. You set that boundary and then that allows you to show up wholeheartedly and be able to engage with them knowing that these are not things you're going to talk about because you inevitably will have conflict. So let's just stay away from those topics, but let's talk about, you know, our kids or travel or, you know, whatever else is important to you.
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually you build enough. The hope, I would think that the hope would be you build enough mutual respect and understanding that if you do in the future have a time where you can talk about things like politics and religion that seem to be the hot button issues, that you might be able to listen more, you know, and hear each other more because you've created a better foundation or refoundation of mutual respect and love.
Yeah.
It's not just,
right.
I think we mistake boundaries as like, I'm only going to love you this much.
Yeah. It's
you know,
conditional
or like,
thing.
yeah. It's
that's
like,
how I think some people interpret it.
You've put
it's
conditions
easy to
on
interpret it that way. Like I can only love you if you do this.
Yeah.
Or we kind of put it all on the other person that we're setting the boundary with. Rather, it's my choice to make a boundary and it's my choice to keep a boundary. It has nothing to do with the other person as much as it is I'm using my own agency in order that I might love that other person more authentically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the hope. My experience has not been as such, at least when I've set boundaries.
And when they break the boundary, that's when I feel disrespected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, now you're really messing with me. Now you've done two things.
Yeah.
So what other questions did you get?
Well,
I mean, it seems like every time we talk about something like this, we get questions about boundaries, questions about forgiveness. Did you get any like pushback, any discomfort that you sensed from anyone?
Oh yeah, lots of discomfort because everyone knows in deep down that I probably am not really good at this. I think there's a sense of, and I need to identify the group of people that it's okay that I don't love. That's the whole. That's the whole question behind. Then who is my neighbor? When Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself," and the guy goes, "Well, then,
who's my neighbor?
Who's my neighbor? I need to know who my neighbor is, so that and really what he's asking is, who's not my neighbor?
Yeah,
because I need to know who is disqualified from me having to love them." And then Jesus just blows that sucker out of the water with the Good Samaritan. And they all walk away going, dang, that's not the right answer. Now I don't love you. Yeah. There's a inherent question in me and probably everybody somewhere is that there's got to be people out there I don't have to love. There's got to be.
Okay, so I do want to talk about this a little bit because I think it is a wrestle in me.
Yeah.
Because depending on someone's beliefs, right? For me, what I experience with love feels like an openness. This is part of like my struggle. It's either I'm all in with somebody or I'm not.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think the challenge for me is to kind of hold people at like an arm's distance, especially if their belief doesn't necessarily align with mine.
Sure. Because
of the potential of harm.
To you or to them?
To me, to people that I care about.
Sure.
If someone's beliefs are pretty extreme, right?
Yeah.
And vastly different than what I believe.
Yeah.
There's a potential for harm,
Yeah.
For a number of reasons without getting into all of it, right? And so I think the challenge for me is how do I actually love somebody like fully, right? Not just be kind to someone, not just like save face or just be polite.
Yeah.
But actually love someone.
Yeah.
When I don't know if I trust them.
Okay, when you say love them, how are you defining that word? Are you defining it as I really like them and I want to spend time with them? Or
I want to trust them with everything that is about my life?
No, I think that's part of the challenge, right? Like the way that culture says love is to be kind, right, and share life or whatever, right? I think I don't know if that's what I believe. I think for me, I think loving is truthful, honest, genuine. Right, whether that's good, bad, and different. Like, I think loving people is actually being really honest with them and saying hard things if I need to.
Right,
like that for me is loving someone. Okay.
Yeah. It's harder to love people in relationship than it is to say, be a good Samaritan. You see somebody alongside the road, you stop and help them, and you take them along, and you drop them off, and you go, hey, if there's more cost, I'll pay that.
Yeah.
That's the description of loving somebody.
Yeah.
The description of loving somebody is being actively for them in a tangible way in that story. It's not, the unloving thing to do is to ignore somebody's need. It isn't that what you're doing is, I think this is where love gets confused. Love is kind. But it's also a lot of not things. It's not envying. So there's a degree of when I don't love my neighbor, I'm probably either envying something that they have, or I'm ignoring a need that I can obviously help with. It's not that this goes into this place of deep relationship. It goes into a place of being a person that's human towards another person who's human. And in our frailty and in our missing the point of a lot of things, we treat each other with respect.
Yeah.
It's not an emotional connection at all. That's not how it's described.
Yeah.
So we have to that's part of the cultural disconnect.
I think, and that's where like blessing those who curse you and loving your enemies and, praying for your enemies comes in, because it's like there are, and not that like the people that you might be talking about aren't what we would consider enemies in our mind, but it's like, you're not gonna, it's not humanly possible for you to love every single person that comes into your orbit in the same way at the same level.
Yes.
So there are people that are on the outside of your life sphere or whatever that you may not, share a lot of time with because you aren't in alignment with them, or you don't have the same values, or, but that doesn't mean that, loving them could mean a lot of different things. It can mean just, wow, we see things really differently, and like asking God to bless them and to help them grow and to help you see where you need to grow, maybe where you can learn from them. And like, there's so many different ways of being loving. And I think we have limited it to very few things.
Yeah. There's people in my life that I would say, wow, I don't really want to spend time with them for various reasons. But if they have a need that I can meet, I'll still do it.
Yeah.
I don't find myself wanting to do them harm. So loving them moves into this place of I want the best for them. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to spend time with them. Those are
Yeah.
and I can love them and not spend time with them.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's anything like when I think about the way Jesus was when he was a human living?
He still is a human.
I know, but when we read about Jesus.
Okay, yeah, his ministry or his
ministry
life.
and his life
when he was here,
yes.
walking the planet. Got it.
Yes, he didn't heal everyone.
Nope.
And he washed the disciples' feet.
Yep.
He had certain, obviously with the disciples, he spent more time, more energy. He ate with sinners and tax collectors. He ate with Pharisees. Uh-huh. But there were differences in those exchanges.
Right.
And so on the one hand, you could see that as a boundary.
Sure.
On the other hand, you could see it as him just being a good steward of his time. It's also, he says that he's going about his father's business.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Goodness.
what is that for us in this conversation?
I think the difference is the intimacy of the relationship that he had with the 12. Mm-hmm. And he spent more time with them, and he was in deeper relationship with them. There's no doubt about it. He went over to Zacchaeus' house and ate dinner with him.
Yeah, that's intimate.
Yeah, it is. But it's not the same as I'm going to share my secrets of my ministry with you.
Right.
And so he loved Zacchaeus, mm-hmm. and he loved John, Peter, and the guys. But he loved them differently than he loved mm-hmm. Zacchaeus in the sense of relational connectedness.
Yeah.
But he loves Zacchaeus. He loves us. And I think a lot of the relational connectedness piece is a cultural phenomena in the West.
Can you say more about that?
Sure. Well, we are inundated with the idea of what love looks like.
Yeah.
And what it's supposed to be like. It's supposed to be, I'm in this relationship, and in this relationship, we know each other deeply. We respect each other. We share the same likes, and I mean, it is a very uniform approach to love.
Yeah.
I love the people like me, think like me, smell like me. But there's, whereas Jesus is saying, and I think the Bible is saying, is that love is not a uniform thing. It's a diverse thing. And that there is a richness to being able to love people who are different than you. Actually, I think there's something supernatural about that. Because we drift into uniformity. I probably shouldn't say this. It's the problem with Christian nationalism.
You can say that.
The Christian nationalism says everybody should be like us, and if they aren't, we're going to make them.
Yeah.
We're going to impose our beliefs upon them.
Yeah.
It is to, and Jesus was so invitational, so not going to overtake the government and impose himself upon people. He was like, hey, let's do this in a way that builds relationship around me.
Yeah.
Not around a group of laws, but around me. And he invited people to come to him, and it was invitational. And then some people did, some people didn't, and he seemed to be perfectly fine with that. Mm-hmm. So when we start saying that the only answer to the question is that we have to impose it upon people, that's the opposite of loving them.
How do you love people that want to impose it on you?
That's the hardest part, right? That's where you go, you set boundaries, and you say, hey, that's just, you're not doing that to me. And I will still, and I have people like this in my life, if I will do you no harm, and I will help you when I can.
Yeah.
I will be good to you. I will be kind to you. I'll be all those things. When I want to, what I really want to do is wrestle you to the ground and put my foot to your throat and say, stop it.
Wow. This just got dark.
But there's just because
Yeah.
they totally disrespect
Yeah.
my version of what I believe Jesus was trying to teach.
Yeah.
Totally disrespect it. And that's, for me, very triggering. But I don't do that. So the loving thing that I actually do is repress that emotion, that feeling, and I recenter myself to a place where I go, okay, I'm not going to do you any harm. I'm not going to slander you. I'm not going to gossip about you. I am just going to do nothing. Or I will do good if you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I will do no harm to make your life worse.
Yeah.
I think that's loving them.
That's legit.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's the struggle. And then there was one question we had in the gathering that made me really sad. There was a guy in the first gathering who said, well, what do you do if the church has hurt you deeply? I think you were holding the mic.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were.
I was holding the mic.
You were holding
The
the mic.
question was,
And
what do you do if the church hurts you deeply?
No, but it was beyond that.
yeah.
It was more of like a.
He was wounded. And
It was more of like a. It was almost like a salvific question. It was like.
I wish I could remember.
Yeah, it was.
But
It was understanding. Oh, it was. He said something like he was brought up to believe you got to love God or else,
oh, yeah.
and all the awful consequences of a life where you don't love God.
Right.
And he was having a hard time receiving what you are saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What Jesus was
essentially
saying,
that
yeah.
God's love is a free gift
Yeah.
of grace.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's really,
Yeah. And it's
You know?
unconditional. I mean, there isn't anything you can do to earn it or get it or
Yeah.
extract it from God. He's just, here it is.
I mean,
on a platter.
essentially it was a malformation of the gospel message that he had received
Which
that you were trying to untangle for him.
Untangle, yeah.
Which is pretty common.
Yeah, very common. I think all of us have a tangled view of the gospel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was heartbreaking.
It was.
Yeah.
It was very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I talked to him afterwards.
Did you?
Yeah. And I think
Did he receive it okay?
Yeah, I think it was helpful for him, but I think it's like he's never heard anything like that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Which would be, he needs to hear it like 7 more times.
I need to hear it like 75 more times.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just hard to believe that somebody, and part of it is, this is where the scar of the church is so deep, is that if they describe loving in a particular way, and you've received that and
Yeah.
you've adopted it as your belief system, and somebody comes along and says, well, no, that's not really loving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And it's also, there's almost a psychological break that takes place in the mind and in the heart that says, you mean I've been believing this wrong? I've had a wrong view of God my whole life? Yeah, you have. Sorry. Yeah, well, all those people that, all the people that told you that were wrong. Can they be wrong? Yeah, they can. I've had that conversation with multiple people, and it's really hard because the people that they believed they trusted.
Yeah.
And now then they're looking at you going, well, do I trust you now? Because the last group of people sent me down a path that was just destructive.
We're probably all wrong about a lot of things.
For sure. For sure. And I'm not, I'm pretty sure this one's right. I'm pretty sure there's a depth of God's love that is so described in Scripture that it's beyond comprehension.
And seen in Scripture in the way he relates to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to earn it. I mean, of all the people we talked about this morning, Zacchaeus was the one that deserved it the least, according to Israel. And he just waltzes into his house and salvation has come today. And you kind of go, okay, that's awesome. But how do you receive that? And that's what
I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah. But a community that helps you do it is what you need. You need to be around people who actually are appropriating God's love to themselves and to each other.
Yeah.
It's hard. So yeah. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And you're
really
going to take us down a misfit path? No, you're taking us down formation path.
I'm glad we got it all figured out, though.
Yeah,
That
isn't
feels
it great?
good.
Yeah. You'll put a bow on it and say, wow, we've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Nah.
And I don't think we ever will. That's the fun. We get to do these podcasts forever. We're sitting in heaven, you know.
Well, people have been arguing about all of these things for thousands of years, and many of them are much smarter than any of us.
That's right. And we are just the echoes of echoes.
Right.
Of echoes.
Right.
Through the ages. Well, thanks for joining us on a journey now. Hopefully the crew, maybe not. We'll be back next week.
Maybe.
I know I won't be. No, I will be. I'll be.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Happy birthday, Rob.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey Now. If for some bizarre reason you liked it, help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing it on your socials. Journey Now is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III produces the show and fixes all the guests' slurping, gum chewing, coughing, and other annoying sounds. Randy Hansen provides technical assistance, even though he denies it. Grant Opperman edits Journey Now and intervenes whenever necessary to tell the crew that you can't say that. Special shout out to dear listener Brad Erie and dear YouTube watcher Seth Erie. If there's anyone else who makes it through each week, we're so sorry and thank you too.